we'd like to welcome you to Quilt Show Reno. Today we have a great great lineup. We have Sandra Bruce and Terrie Peets. Sandra Bruce is going to be teaching for us, and she'll have a special exhibit, and Terrie Peets will also have a special exhibit. If you have any questions during the live or afterwards, you can always type them into the comments and we'll get those answered for you. I do want to remind you that the room rates, which are starting at $69 a night, that is only going to be maybe today or tomorrow, and then those rates will our special rates will be over and it will increase. If you want to get 2-day or 3-day tickets, you can do that online. Just go to www.quiltshowreno.com and get your tickets ordered in advance so you don't have to be in line. And I think that's all the housekeeping. So I'm just going to bring Sandra Bruce on right now. Here we go. Sandra, first of all, if you want to kind of just give us a little bit of back history of how you got started into quilting and all that good stuff, and then you can tell us about your classes and your special exhibit.
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Beth, for having me on today. So, back in 1983, I was living in San Jose, and I happened to be next door neighbors with Therese May. And if you don't know who Therese is, she is what I would consider one of the grandmothers of the art quilt movement. She was making art quilts back in the 60s, even before pretty much everyone else was. And so we became friends and we started a quilt group, and we were just improvising. And so then I moved to Grass Valley and decided to start from scratch. So I took a really beginner's class. In fact, my first quilt was hand pieced and hand quilted. Won't do that again. And then I took a bunch of classes, and at the same time, I should tell you, I was making my living as a commercial illustrator and calligrapher. So that sort of worked its way into my work. So fast forward to about 13, 14 years ago, I bought a long arm quilting machine, gave up the illustration, and just became basically a long arm quilter. And I made a quilt that was 80 by 80 inches in my technique that I call material matrix, which I'll be talking about. And that was the quilt that kind of got me going into teaching. And so I also teach color dance, which I'll be teaching in Reno, and also scrap vortex. So if I could just launch into that. They're both classes that depend heavily on scraps, because what is the one thing that we all have as quilters, right? Scraps. So the color dance is a wonky log cabin. I grabbed one of the patterns. This is what it looks like. So you're making a wonky log cabin block, and you're working from yellow to orange to red to blue to green back to yellow. And then there's this really fun border that is piano keys. So that's that. And then
so in color dance, will you be talking a lot about color? Because I know that everybody is interested in learning more about color and color theory.
Absolutely. Because when you're working on this pattern, you have to pay attention to the edges of your blocks, because you're gonna meld the next color into the block that you're working on. So you have to always be paying attention to your color spectrum. Yes. So back to scrap vortex. So that is a class that I've just recently been teaching. I first saw a scrap vortex quilt on Instagram, and it was a quilt that had very distinct different colors. And I have a very big wall behind my long arm machine. My long arm is 14 feet long. And I wanted to have a big quilt to put on that wall behind my machine. So I made it a scrap vortex quilt using my scraps. And I happen to have right here, I hope you can see this. This is, this is the, this is the wonky log cabin. This is color dance. Sorry. The one you see in the background, I hope you can see that on the display wall. Yeah, that's the scrap vortex. So the scrap vortex is just a super fun way of putting your colors together in whatever configuration you want, and you're learning lots of different ways of combining your fabrics, different techniques, curve piecing, making circles, framing an image that you have on your fabric. So it's just super, super fun. That quilt I made that's behind my long arm is by far the most fun quilt I ever made.
You might have to take a picture and send it to me, and then I'll post it on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
Okay, a picture of the scrap vortex?
Yes, the one behind your
Yes.
long arm.
Yes, I'd be happy
Yes.
to do that. Oh, the big one, sure. Yeah, I
Yes.
can send you that. Yeah. It's 40 inches wide and 127 inches long. It's very long.
So even though they won't get a big quilt done in your class, if they decide to do a big quilt, they can just keep adding more and more blocks to it.
That's right. Well, with the color dance, they're going to get the pattern, which has total directions beginning to end. So they'll be able to use the pattern to go home and finish the quilt. And as far as the scrap vortex goes, they will be in the class sort of sketching out their idea of how they want to do it. And then I will show them all the different techniques to combine their fabrics. And then they can take it home and make it as big as they or small as they want.
So if they're overwhelmed with trying to go through their scraps and pick out their perfect color rainbow, do you have some techniques or some tips for that?
Well, it kind of depends on what their scraps are. Up until now, I have found, well, I bring I have a bucket of scrap vortex fabric that's just perfect, which I'm happy to share. And I like to have the students share as well. So they'll pretty much just have to decide, do I want to do just one color? Do I want to do two colors? I've done black and white where the black is in the center and it goes white as it goes out. Do I want to do a rainbow like the one that you see on my wall? Do I want to do, I mean, the possibilities are endless. So it's a good idea for them to think about as they're gathering their scraps, do they just want to bring all their scraps and just jump in, or do they want to be really specific and just pick out the colors they want to use? Either way, it works.
Okay, perfect.
What else can I tell you?
Okay, and then so those are the two classes that you're teaching at Quilt Show Reno 2026.
Right.
But then you will have a special exhibit that will be the classes that you'll be doing for 2027.
Correct. That will be Material Matrix. And if you go to my website, which is my name, it's very easy, sandrabruce.com. You'll see lots of examples of my Material Matrix quilts. I really enjoy doing portraits. I've done a lot of portraits. And I've done a lot of birds. So what this technique is I take a photograph and I put a grid on it and I interpret each square into fabric. So it's either going to be just a 2.5 inch square fabric or it's going to be pieced. So Material Matrix is all about piecing. It's not, we're not fusing, we're not doing hand applique, none of that. It's all piecing. So people who love piecing, and I know you're all out there, you're going to really love this class. So you're going to take your photo and you're going to interpret your squares. And it does take 2 days. This will be a 2-day class because it takes a little time to get the hang of the technique. I totally made it up myself. It's all mine. So
kind of like a watercolor, but different.
Well, the thing that's different is the watercolor quilts are just squares. There's no piecing inside the squares. So with mine, it's more, if you have a square that has two different things going on, you're going to have a seam. You're going to have to piece two pieces together to achieve what you're seeing in the photograph.
So lots of techniques.
It is a technique that has a lot of facets to it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of variables.
Yeah. I like to think of it as solving puzzles. It's sort of like each square in the quilt is a puzzle to be solved. And that's what really excites me about the technique.
And we know quilters in general love puzzles.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and I should say, when I teach this class, I will give the students a photograph that they will pick their fabrics from, and everybody in the class will be doing the same project.
Perfect. Perfect. So we're really looking forward to the exhibit, but also the 2 classes that you're offering this year. So make sure that you go to www.quiltshowreno.com, and then you can look under classes. If you just go to instructor, it will take you right to Sandra's classes. So you can sign up very easily that way. All right, perfect. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Sandra?
I think that's it. Hope to see you in Reno.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your day. And we are very much looking forward to seeing you in Reno.
Thank you,
All right.
Beth.
Thank you. Okay, Terrie. Terrie Peets, you're from Markleeville, California, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. And you're doing a special exhibit. So do you want to kind of tell us how you got into quilting and what made you take this up as an art form?
Thank you. Yes. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you, Beth. When I came into your fabulous shop and you asked me if I would consider this, I was kind of dumbstruck and awestruck and was like, wow, that was really cool. So thank you. I wanted to say that first. But yeah, but I actually started quilting back when I was in 7th grade. I had a grandmother who that's what she did. I mean, she was sewing from ever. And she signed me up for my very first class. It was a hand piecing class. And just like Sandra, I gave that up real quick. But that was my first exposure to fabric and quilting. And back then, we pretty much just used fabric left over from the clothes that we used to sew. So I would, make little blankets for friends' babies and all things like that. And then I took a couple years off to have babies and children. And then a friend of mine asked if I would like to go to a quilting class. And so it was your traditional quilting, but it was half pieced and half appliqued. And I thoroughly enjoyed it and said, okay, I'm back into quilting. So I started the traditional route for quite a while. And then I went to another class, which I highly recommend classes. It was my first exposure to art quilting. And I fell in love. And I have not turned back since then. And I've actually kind of developed my own little technique on doing things. I have a tendency to do things that are very different, kind of like this thing behind me. Our guild that we belong to always has some really crazy challenges. And I like to do things that are out of the box. And I'm very blessed to have a son that enjoys my quilts. And so he always gives me great ideas and I do some pretty wild things. So most of the time I'm an art quilter and it's mostly raw edge applique, a little bit of turned under once in a while, but mostly raw edge and fused or glued or painted or all kinds of different things like that. And then I just recently, actually surprisingly, finished a piece quilt. I thought, oh, it's been a long time since I've done that. And I thought maybe I should get back and check how I'm doing with points and stuff like that. I finished it. Don't know if I'll ever go back to that again. But that's kind of how I started. And my exhibit is piece to art. So you'll see a couple of my pieced type quilts with a little bit of applique, but mostly going through my art life. I am one of those quilters that gives away a lot of my quilts. I don't sell them or anything like that. So it took a little bit to get them back so I can put them in this exhibit. But most of the time I give them away as gifts and things like that. So that's kind of me.
Perfect. I don't know if your device is very mobile, but Anne wants to know if you can do a close up of the owl, if possible.
Yes, I think let me unplug. that's kind of, I don't have a whole lot of art or light there. There we go. That's a little bit better. I am going to have that one in Reno. And that actually was a guild challenge where we had to add raw, excuse me, I'm moving cords here. I had to add raw wool to it. So in this area around the face and around the wing, I tucked in raw wool that I actually got at your shop.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, I know you said you love classes. What classes are you signed up for in Reno this year?
I am signed up for, I forgot the lady's name, but it's the free motion thread painting. It's in the other room. Sorry, I should have done that.
What's the project look like? Poppies?
It's flowers. Yes, it is different flowers. And I did the one that's all different, multiple ones. I just recently inherited basically a sit down or mid-range long arm. And I thought it might be really good to learn how to do some thread painting. I've done some, but just on a domestic machine.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit different than a kind of a sit down long arm. So I'm really interested in that process and how you blend the threads together. I'm kind of excited about that one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? I think it's probably Joyce Hughes.
I think you're right. I think
She's
that is
coming
really
all the way from Pennsylvania to do.
Wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. She just wrote a book too.
Yes. The other thing I really like to do that actually you've helped me a lot with is I'm beginning to add a lot more fibers and beads and things that are up and above that enhance a quilt. And so that's kind of been my fun extra side moment that I'm working on too. So, yeah.
Well, I do believe that you can never have too many embellishments, which might be a little bit of a problem sometimes, but I do love embellishments.
I will have a quilt there at the Reno show that the original pattern was from the lady that owns the Sisters Quilt Show, and it's a picture of Jean Wells. Yeah, yes, correct. Thank you. The original pattern, and I sat on it for the longest time, going, "Okay, I gotta tweak this somehow." And I made the original applique, and then it sat on my back wall, and I kept putting Post-it notes on it, going, I want to add this embellishment here and this fiber here. And I think I did that for about 2 years. And then I watched a lot of videos on how to use water soluble, stuff that you can stick stuff on and then sew and then let it go away. And it was kind of fun. Yeah, thank you. Stabilizer. Yes. Thank you. And that was kind of fun to do. And it was something I had never done before. And I just kind of figured it out on my own. And so I totally enhanced the heck out of the pattern. And it's probably to this day one of my favorites. Yeah, this one I'm keeping.
Perfect. You've got to keep them every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it will be fun to see your exhibit.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I don't know, Sandra, do you have anything else you'd like to add or say?
Oh, I did grab a matrix quilt that I can show so people see what the heck I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Can you see it?
Yes.
That's lovely.
Oh, thank you. So this was a project in a class that I taught. So you can see I'm working with squares. And I like to make a match binding to my quilts instead of a border. You can see how I match the binding. So I teach that too when I teach the class.
Oh, I've never done that. Yeah. Yay.
That is pretty hard to do, to line it up exactly.
Oh, it's not super hard. It's just, you just have to be patient.
Oh, well, that has never been my strong point. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you both for joining us and taking time out of your day. We are really looking forward to, we're kind of in the countdown right now for Quilt Show Reno. It's, I think, 30 days or something crazy like that. So for those of you watching, make sure that you book your hotel, create your own sewcation where we've got classes and we've got vendors and we've got make and takes. Definitely wear your outfit you've created. We do have a fashion show. What am I looking? You know, the words never come to you when you need them. A consumer fashion show. So we will be giving out tickets to anybody who's wearing something that they've made or a tote bag that they've made. And at 3:30, we'll have drawings and you'll be able to stand up and say where your pattern is from and all that good stuff. So very interactive. So we're looking forward to a lot of fun. It does start, classes start June 9th and go to the 13th. And the vendor mall opens up on the 11th. So make sure you've got that on your calendar. We do have a bus coming, leaving from the Bay Area, Morgan Hill. We do still have some spots available on that if you'd like to catch the bus so you have a ride over the mountain. Just give us a call and let us know, and we'll get you booked for that. And otherwise, we're very much looking forward to seeing you June 9th through the 13th. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Bye.